What's up, guys? My name's Andres. This is a Strong Family Money show where we teach dads how to improve their fitness, their finances, and their families. Thanks for stopping by. Before we get started, please visit our sponsor, freshcoffee805.com. Without them, we couldn't make these episodes. I bring you all this information weekly. So the first step I have today is there are alternative ways. There are alternative ways to buy a house. You don't have to go to the traditional route of saving. Even though, in my opinion, at the end of the day, that's the best route to go, is to get your finances in order, save for a down payment, get the right loan. If that's something that is not in your cards, you think that you cannot do that, or you don't have the ability to do that, there are other ways that you can get yourself into a home, and that home then becomes your property. So I have a few ways here. They're not conventional. There are things to explore. But like I said, at the end of the day, I feel the best way is to do it. Get your money right, save 20%, do it that way. But, if you've contributed to a retirement account, 401k, there are ways that you can use that to borrow against to get money to put down on a home. You have to speak with the person that manages your 401k, your investment account. Some people have this at work where they can go talk to, at least where I, work, they every once in a while, they bring someone that works for the company that manages their 401k on campus. You make an appointment, you can go talk to them about whatever you want to talk about. So speak to the person that manages your money. Ask them if your account will allow you to borrow money to put down on a home. You have to pay it back at some point. You have to do that. The bill will come due on any one of these things. So these aren't freebies. These are just alternative ways to finance or get into a home. So you may be able to borrow against your retirement account. Again, go talk to your financial professional on exactly how that's done. It's different for each type of account, but go talk to them, and they will obviously give you the right answer, because that's their line of work. If you are lucky enough to have parents that are willing to let you borrow or give you, or you work out some deal with them to get money to put down on a house, you can explore that option as well. Again, none of this is technically free. There are things that go along with that, right? You obviously have to be in good standing with them. They may want that money back. It may be from their own retirement account. They may be giving it to you from what they would have given you when they're from their will, right? But you can sit down and say, "Hey, mom and dad, I or my family, we want to buy a home. We don't have the financial means to get into a home, but we can afford a payment. Can you help us out in some way?" And depending on your relationship, they may say no, they may say yes. But if you are really wanting to get into a home, and you really have to be able to afford all these things that I'm telling you guys, you really have to be able to afford the home. And it's very serious, and it isn't something you can take lightly. And it isn't something where you can say, "Oh, screw it, I don't want to be in this home anymore. I'm just going to let it go." No, because this stuff has, implications on other people. You're basically partnering up with somebody, and you don't want to leave them holding the stick at the end of the day. So you may be able to talk to your parents, so they can, give you something. It could not, whatever they give you is great. But that's another way to go about getting into a home. So you may have an insurance policy. Again, the same thing as a personal retirement account. Whoever holds your policy, you may be able to go and speak to them and say, "Hey, is there a way that I can leverage this insurance policy to get money to put down on a home?" And a lot of people don't look at this avenue. Go speak to the professional that has your insurance policy. They may be able to help you, but that's another thing to look into. Again, you have to pay it back. This isn't a freebie. But go talk to them, have the conversation. You never know what the answer is going to be until you have the conversation. You could get a cosigner. It could be, I have the money, my credit ain't that good. I need someone to go in on the house with. Obviously, they have to be in good standing financially to do this. You may find someone who you trust and who trusts you, that you will, make good on the payments and not do anything squirrely. But those people are out there, and they may be willing to help you. But again, you just have to have the conversation. You can seller financing. So you find a home, the person's willing to sell it. It could be that they don't go the traditional route in selling the home. You may say, hey, you want to offload this property. You don't need the money right now. What you want is just some monthly cash flow. I will move into the property, and this is kind of like a rent to own, also. So it could be you find it and move in, or you're already there renting it, and you go have a talk with the landlord. You say, hey, I have $10K, right? It is a 20% down. I'm a good tenant. I'm a good tenant. I pay on time every month. I'm in good financial standing. I have $10K. I will give you $10K deposit if you let me lock in this price, negotiate price. You let me lock in this price in some amount of time, negotiate that. We can then decide, if I still want to purchase this property or not. You have to sweeten the pot for them, right? If I decide I'm not going to buy it anymore, you get to keep my $10K. So that also ties you in to, there has to be ways to tie both sides into the deal, right? You don't want to lose your money. You want to give them something so that they consider doing this deal with you. So I give you some money as a deposit. We lock in a price. On this day, we will do the transaction. I might pay you a little extra mortgage. Put that towards the 20%, or whatever percentage you decide. On this date, we make the deal. I get the home, right? And that way you can find someone to finance the rest. You take over, right? So you have to negotiate all this stuff. You have to talk with the mortgage person. You have to talk with your landlord. But it's a way for you to either work up to the 20% or whatever, right? Or you have a deal with the landlord and they say, that $10K is enough. Keep paying me the current rent we've already agreed upon. In a year, I will sell you this home, and then everything goes down. They'll accept that $10K is down payment. They'll say, yes, I want to sell it to them. So you can do this. It's either like a lease to own or rent to own option. But there has to be ways for both sides to benefit from this, obviously. Okay. But again, the way that I think is the best is really just to save more, make more money. That way it's the simplest. It may be hard to save money. It may be hard to make more, but it's the simplest because you don't have to have all these, juggle all these balls in the air, right? I save 20%, loan, house is mine, right? That's the easiest way to do it. So if you're going to go so the next tip, if you're going to go into real estate investing, okay, you really need to, there are a few formulas, back of the envelope, rules of thumb, whatever you want to call them. There are a few formulas that you need to look at, memorize, know, right? Return on investment, cash on cash return, how much mortgage can I afford? What mortgage can I get? How much does my rent have to be to cover all my expenses, right? You need to, I'm going to make a sheet. If you, there'll be a sign-up sheet somewhere here, and I'll send you the sheet that I'm going to make of real estate investing math. It'll be a cheat sheet, an Excel sheet. You can then plug in all your numbers there, and you'll get all the information you want. But you need to be, so you have this sheet, you memorize it, you get good at it. You got to be able to do these things quickly, and it really is like a first step in whether or not a home is the right deal for you. After they pass this little sheet of paper, these few calculations, is when you then, break out your notebook and you do more detailed analysis of the property. Is this the right um, property for me? Am I going to make money? How much is everything going for? You do that later, right? First, you want to be able to say, I found this property online, some site, wherever someone told me. I do my quick calculations. Yeah, hey, I want to make a deal, get the ball rolling. Then you do your full analysis. But there are a certain, again, message me and I'll put together a sheet to send you. There are certain things that you have to be able to do quickly, either on your phone or in your head, so that you can get to the next step as quick as possible. Because the longer you take to make that decision, right? Someone else is doing it faster, and they'll get the property before you do. And a lot of the times in real estate investing, it's who does all this stuff the quickest. That's the person that gets the deal, obviously. But if you're worried about doing the full set of calculations before you decide whether or not to move on it, you may be beaten to the property by someone who can do them either faster or requires less information to decide whether or not they're going to make a deal. So, again, get your real estate math dialed in so you can do it quickly and move on properties fast. Okay, so money tip for this week: invest in things that people need. People will always need food and healthcare. These types of investments will help shore up your portfolio. That's I wrote down in my little book here. So you want to look for companies on the stock. You can totally look up on the stock exchange. There's a heat map you can look up. I'll link it down below. It breaks everything up by sector. So healthcare and tech and insurance, and so it breaks it up by sector. So you can tell what sectors there are, what sectors are doing well, and what stocks in that sector are doing well. So everyone needs healthcare. Everyone needs clothes, food, right? So you want to invest in the things that everyone always needs. There are fads out there. We can discuss whether or not things like Facebook or stuff like that is a fad, and eventually something will happen. Who knows what's going to happen in 10, 15 years, which is really a lifespan of an investment to decide if it does well or not. A long period of time. But you want to go out there and look at things to invest in that people always need. It's very important to have those types of, you can have liberties with some of your money in your portfolio, but I'm going to say a high percentage of your investments need to be things that are evergreen. They're never going to go away. People are always going to drive some sort of car from the manufacturers that have survived so far, right? So look at things that people need and put those in your portfolio to make it secure. So I have a problem. Some people have said it's a problem. So I don't believe in, or I have an issue with compassion, right? So someone, and it isn't really compassion like, oh, like my mom passed away. That's yes, that's bad, and you don't want that to happen to you. But if it's it took me an hour to get to work today instead of half an hour, and it's ruined my day. I don't want to hear it. My computer was super slow, and I might have to buy another one. That's not something to be complaining about, right? We have to understand, and I've spoke about this before in another video. There's a spectrum of, everything's great, world peace, everyone has money, and then the other side of the spectrum is, like all your relatives have died and you don't have a job and you live on the street, right? So that's two ends of the spectrum. usually everyone lives in some short band of bandwidth of that spectrum. And if they don't acknowledge that there's those other two extremes, then whatever their min and max of that spectrum is become their extremes, and they have their emotions um, control them accordingly, right? So it's not world peace and rainbows, but it's um, you know uh, I got to whatever great thing happens to them, that's the greatest thing ever, and they talk about it that way. And whatever the worst thing that happens to them that day, I spill coffee on my new jacket, and that's the worst thing that happens to them. They act accordingly. But um, I always like to understand that I have to acknowledge the extremes, right? And the worst I should act like the worst things happen, and the best I should act the best things happen, right? Everything else is kind of like it isn't on those sides of the spectrum, so I should act accordingly. So um, people have to understand that the spectrum of happy and sad are wide. They live in a certain bandwidth, and they should act accordingly, and not the opposite. So anyway, um, thanks for watching. Click the links below to pick up my ebooks. I have a first-time home buyer book, and I have a book that I call Calibrate Your Life Compass, where I have a collection of blog posts that I've written and collected that help me change some certain things in my life. You can send me a message. I can send you a PDF. I also have the Amazon links if you prefer to do it that way. I am a real estate agent here in Ventura County. If you want to talk real estate, send me a message. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned investor, if you want to talk real estate, have questions, just want to talk about the market in general, shoot me a message. Please visit our sponsor, freshcoffee805.com. Without them, we couldn't bring these videos to you. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.